The last known footage of Christie Wilson paints a haunting picture. A bright, intelligent 27-year-old woman sits at a blackjack table inside Thunder Valley Casino, unaware of the dark fate that awaits her. She's a pro at counting cards, making thousands in one night with her sharp analytical skills. But on this night, something is wrong. Her body language shifts. Her behavior grows erratic. She looks confused, as if drugged. And she was. Christie Wilson had only one drink that night, one she didn't know had been spiked. A man sits beside her, older, stockier, with slicked-back black hair. He's not just being friendly, he's too close, leaning in, touching her. And outside the casino, surveillance captures him grabbing Christie in the parking lot as she attempts to push him away. What Christie didn't know is that this wasn't his first time. The man beside her had a past drenched in violence. That night in October 2005 would mark the last time anyone saw Christie Wilson alive. The girl with the plan. Christie wasn't lost or reckless. Just days before she vanished, she was making plans for her future. She had just landed a promising job interview in San Francisco after a layoff and was looking forward to a fresh start. She even joked with her mum about dressing up her cat for Halloween. At the time, she was still staying on and off with her ex-boyfriend in Sacramento, but that new job in San Francisco symbolized hope. Before leaving town, she decided to visit her favorite casino one last time, Thunder Valley, where she often played blackjack and walked away with big wins. That night, she called her ex around 10:30 p.m., saying she'd be home soon. She never made it. A mother's intuition. Christie's parents, especially her mother, Debbie, felt something was terribly wrong the moment they heard she hadn't come home. Her ex-boyfriend tried calling her more than 70 times the next day. Still, no answer. The police weren't quick to act. Christie was an adult. She had battled some depression. But Debbie knew her daughter wasn't the type to just vanish, especially not without taking her beloved cat or personal belongings. When police finally started to investigate, it was Debbie's insistence that led them to the casino's CCTV. The man at the table. What the tapes showed was chilling. Christie walked into Thunder Valley shortly before 7 p.m., withdrew cash, and settled into her usual routine. But after switching tables several times, she sat next to an older man who seemed too touchy, too interested. Her behavior changed. She became erratic, rude to dealers, and clearly intoxicated, despite having just one drink, offered by that very same man. Her stepfather, a San Jose police sergeant, noticed immediately something was deeply wrong. Christie wasn't acting like herself. And the man beside her? He was clearly manipulating the situation, inserting himself into her space and eventually offering to escort her out. The Black Hole Casino footage shows the man guiding Christie out. But then, nothing. The camera rotated away at the wrong time, leaving a blind spot investigators dubbed the Black Hole. From that moment on, Christie was never seen again. Her name was now on every flyer. Her family scoured the fields around Thunder Valley. But days passed with no sign. Then came the breakthrough. The man Christie was last seen with used a membership card on a slot machine. His name was Mario Garcia. A hidden monster. Mario Garcia appeared to be the perfect man on the surface. He was a devoted father, a reliable soccer coach in his community, and a seemingly loving husband. To those who knew him casually, Mario was the picture of responsibility and trustworthiness. His demeanor was calm, his smile disarming, and he was often the first to volunteer for neighborhood activities or school events. But behind the polished image he had carefully constructed, there existed a chilling past, a violent secret he had successfully hidden for decades. That illusion began to crumble when investigators conducted a routine background check. The report revealed a misdemeanor from the 1980s. At first glance, it didn't raise major alarms, just a minor assault charge, or so it seemed. However, the deeper the authorities dug, the more sinister the story became. Questions emerged about who had been involved and why such a serious event had been buried under the label of a misdemeanor. The name Wendy Ward surfaced, a woman who, many years earlier, had crossed paths with Garcia in the most traumatic of ways. Investigators managed to track her down and asked her to tell her side of the story. What she revealed stunned them. Wendy, now older and stronger, recounted the horrifying events of her youth. In her 20s, she had dated Mario Garcia. In a terrifying act of psychological torment, he held a gun to her head and pulled the trigger not once, but twice. The gun was not loaded, but Wendy didn't know that. In that moment, she truly believed she would die. Wendy reported the incident immediately. She pressed charges and an investigation began. But justice didn't come swiftly or completely. The case dragged on for years, entangled in a web of legal delays and procedural loopholes. Ultimately, Garcia managed to plead down to a lesser charge. He spent no significant time behind bars. For Wendy, it was a betrayal by the system that was supposed to protect her. For Garcia, it was a second chance, one he used to build a new life while the woman he had traumatized was left to quietly rebuild hers, carrying the weight of memories that never faded. Despite the time that had passed, Wendy had never truly felt safe. She had always carried the fear that Mario would hurt someone else, that his darkness would surface again. She was right. A pattern of death. Wendy then told detectives about another woman, Lynette Smith, Garcia's next girlfriend. On Christmas Eve, 1979, after Lynette told him she was leaving, her car somehow drove into the Oakland estuary, with Garcia inside. He survived. She and her mother didn't. Garcia claimed he had been asleep and had no idea what happened. No charges were filed. Now detectives were looking at a man with a history of sexual violence and a suspicious death connected to him, and Christie had been last seen with him. Despite everything, police had no concrete evidence tying Garcia to Christie's disappearance. But they kept digging. CCTV showed Christie's behavior shift drastically after drinking from Garcia's glass. He had injuries the next morning, scratches and a bruised eye, but lied, saying they came from clearing trees. What finally pushed the case forward was his car. Though parked in a camera blind spot, another feed showed flashing lights, signals from a Camry's doors opening. All four. Then Garcia drove away, not toward home, but in the opposite direction. Christie's blood and hair were found in the car, despite Garcia bleaching it. She had fought hard, and it showed. Garcia's wounds matched those sustained by an abusive ex-Christie once defended herself against. Her stepfather had taught her self-defense. She used every bit of it. On September 25, 2006, Mario Garcia stood trial, without a body. It was the first such case in North Sacramento. The prosecution leaned hard on circumstantial evidence, the surveillance, DNA, the bruises, his history, and Christie's fierce resistance. The jury found him guilty. Garcia was sentenced to 59 years. Debbie felt relief, but no closure. Her daughter was still out there, somewhere. Years passed. Garcia remained silent. Then in 2017, he wrote to Debbie, hinted at knowing where Christie's body was. Did he want a deal? A reduced sentence? Debbie considered it, briefly, then tore up the letters. She refused to let her daughter's remains become a bargaining chip. 15 years later, a new clue emerged. Garcia's son, Chris, remembered something odd. The day after Christie vanished, his father, normally a hands-on coach, skipped a big game. Chris found him at the back of their property, acting suspicious. Police returned to Garcia's property with ground-penetrating radar. 20 feet down, they found a bone. Human. Her remains showed she had broken her hand and nose, more signs of her desperate fight. After so many years, Debbie finally had her answer. At long last, Debbie and Patrick could put their daughter to rest. They cremated her, held a memorial, and honored her strength and spirit. Christie's best friend remembered the words Christie once said after her own sister's death. Although her body isn't here, her spirit will be with us forever. One day, you'll join her in heaven. Christie Wilson's life was stolen by a monster. But her story, her fight, and her mother's unrelenting pursuit of truth ensured that justice was not. Christie Wilson was more than a headline. She was a daughter, a friend, a brilliant mind with dreams, and a future stolen far too soon. Her story is a tragic reminder that evil can wear the mask of normalcy and that justice, though slow, is still possible with persistence and love. To the detectives who never gave up, to a mother who fought like hell, and to Christie, who left her mark not only on her attacker, but on all of us, we honor your strength. If this story moved you, help keep Christie's memory alive. Share her story, speak up for those who can't, and never underestimate the power of a family's love to uncover the truth. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more true crime stories that deserve to be heard. Stay safe, stay aware, and take care.